Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show. Should be an interesting night tonight, just off the bat, because there's some weird internet stuff going on. First of all, let me do the Han Solo thing right away and say it's not my fault. Rumble for me is down, and it's also down in Australia, but apparently still up in Canada, although running very slowly. The primary YouTube ingest server is down. I had to use the backup ingest server, so I don't know if it can handle my stream on the backup as well as it can handle the primary server. So I don't know what's going on there, but just some weird stuff. Like before the show started, I noticed the YouTube studio came up and said you're offline, and then like 2 seconds later, it came back and said you're back online. I was like, well, I'm looking at my connection to the internet, and I was never offline. So there's some chicanery, great word by the way, happening on the internet right now. I have no idea how the stream is going to go tonight now. I was fully confident before the stream, except for my microphone kept falling down. I have a fairly heavy microphone, and the way it's set up, I try to keep as much of the arm out of the way. The arm is connected to a separate desk, so that if I knock on my desk, it doesn't come through on the microphone. Sound isolation. It's one of those technical audio things. In any case, so the arm is stretched way across underneath my left monitor, and because it's such a heavy microphone and the arm is stretched horizontally, it's very easy just to bop it and it will fall because it's just so much weight.
This is why you should have got a Blue Yeti instead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I used to have a Yeti, but not on this arm. So I used to use. There was a time where I had a fairly light microphone, but it's kind of a trade-off. If you want to upgrade your quality, you have to go with the heavier microphone in most cases. The only thing that you can do is buy a really expensive microphone, and then you end up with something that's really nice, but also light. The Rode Procaster is a great microphone, but it's heavy. So there's a trade-off there. When I get my new desk in place, it'll all be irrelevant because the microphone arm will be behind the monitors and coming over the top of the monitor. That way I'll be able to see all three of them with no issues. So what are you going to do?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on outside, but the traffic just picked up and like really loud.
I know it went from cute little birds to that.
Someone's trying to tell me to shut up and get the show running is probably what's going on.
I guess someone outside is impatient. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's fine.
On a side note, I got to ask you something, Hammer. So this has happened to me a couple times over the last week, and I find it a little bit amusing because I'm catching a guy in his own little cattail of lies.
Uh-oh.
But in the process of sharing out our stream, which everybody should do, give us a little love, tell our fans that we're doing stuff. I got into this disagreement with this guy about crossing the American border over into the Mexican border on whether or not it was just legal to do that, on whether or not you needed a passport or not. And, well, I don't doubt that there's shenanigans at the Mexican border, but I'm still pretty sure that if they catch you without one of those, that you're probably up shit creek.
I don't really know what the laws are. I know they're pretty strict right now with COVID going into Canada, but I think you have to have a passport.
Like, I don't doubt that there's people who slip across. Like, I could see that. Shenanigans happen. I know our kids do, but
the border's open. If you don't go over an official border crossing station, you have a better chance getting in the United States.
But like going the opposite way around, this guy was like, oh, yeah, Americans just go across the border all the time and they just go over there and work. And I'm like, okay, but are they doing that legally? Because if they're doing it legally, then nobody in Mexico gives a shit.
You'd have to ask somebody who knows the Mexican border crossing regulations that are in place. I have no idea. I don't even know anybody that we can talk to.
But all the same, he basically told me about how he was crossing the border every week, and so I was like, so you're complaining about white people doing it. And you just told me that you're not going across without a passport. So you're just on the regular violating the Mexicans.
Well, I mean, he may be. It depends on what their laws are. If he has his passport, then he's going from Mexico to the United States properly. I think they require a passport for you to come into the country. But I don't know if Mexico requires you a passport to get into their country or not. I have no idea.
See, that's weird. Like I would think that both ways. Like I'm not saying that Mexico is perfect in that regard. Like I think they do turn a blind eye to some stuff. Money goes a long way when you know, bureaucracy and government and shit. But no, he just sounded like he was out to lunch. Now, the other thing that I thought of was like dual citizenship. Now that one's always weird. You know, because I don't know how that one works. Like I thought that was kind of like, say somebody was, you know, my parents were Canadian and oops, we had me across the border. I'm still Canadian though. You know, like I don't know how that one works with Mexico. I imagine that stuff's weird too.
Every country has their own regulations. What happens in Canada may not be the same as Mexico. You'd have to ask somebody.
I was hoping you were going to say stays in Canada.
Well, we tend to come home for the most part. It's just the weather, really. It really is the weather. We talked about the weather a lot on Pat's channel because I was eyeballing the border. I'm like, it's -14 right now. it's -14 right now, Terry.
Yeah, it's 21 Fahrenheit here, so it'd be minus something for you guys too. Let me go over the topics real quick and then say hello to chat. Then we'll get back into the show. First topic on the board, Bleu. This is Eliza Bleu.
Oh yeah, Eliza, I think it is.
Yeah, she came up with a video, a podcast where she kind of outed herself as a groomer. So much for trafficking rights and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she kind of sounded like the person who was helping to do the trafficking.
Yeah, the second topic we had planned was Bed Broke and Beyond, and that's the Bed Bath and Beyond is about to fold. People who have a chance to go there and shop there, you should probably do it now because it doesn't look like they're going to be around much longer. And then finally, Dragged is Missouri DA fires the school officials who took part in taking students to drag shows without parental consent.
Good.
So we'll touch on that a little bit. And of course, you have to say hello to chat, which means I have to scroll back real quick. OG Costin,
hi, everybody.
the first person out of the gate. Hi, Keyram. How you doing, sweetie? Mr. Adam, our weekend host, is with us tonight. Cannibalistic Wizard, hello. K-Shawl, and of course, we'll have everybody kind of piling in as the stream goes.
You said hi to Costin, right?
First person.
Yeah, that was the first one you mentioned.
Okay. And Mash.
Yeah. Is Mash out there?
Yeah. Mash was there briefly. I don't know if she's still around.
She has a new video out today. If you haven't subscribed to her channel, she does dance videos for her anime character. That's it's always good music, and she does a great job.
That's from VR Chat, right?
I think that's where it's from. Yeah, I'm not into any of that kind of stuff, but yeah, it sounds about right.
I knew there was something like that she was like quite frequently bringing up in chat. So I think VR Chat is the name of the thing too.
That might be something I would want to do once to get past the point of not doing avatars anymore. Is to get like they have those like little VR avatars that you can get.
Oh, we got Frosted too.
What's that?
We do. Ah, there's Mash. Mash is still in chat, and Frosted said that he's here as well.
Oh, hey, how you doing, Frosted? Mash is everywhere. That's cute. You actually are. Just about everywhere I go, you're in chat somewhere. So,
she confirmed it was VR Chat.
yeah, there you go.
With extra C's, just for good measure.
What's the but what are those little things where you can get where you see like what's the person's name? She's a well-known streamer, female animated character that she has on the screen all the time. Can't think of the name of it. She did a video where she was laughing with seals, where a seal would make a noise and she would duplicate the noise back and using her voice, trying to, because the seal would make a weird noise like what, and she would try to do the same thing with her own voice, and she got almost like into a conversation with it. It was hilarious. I can't remember her name though. It's really funny. It's not coming to mind. In any case, what she does is she has like a little animated character on the screen. Obviously not a face cam. It's not her. It's not real life. And it's not a filter. It's actually a separate character that responds to what she's doing. So if she blinks, the character on the screen blinks. If she smiles, the character smiles.
It's basically the same as the cat that Johnny uses on his streams. The face rig Hellcat that he uses.
Yeah. Yeah. With my screen, even with the size of my screen, the resolution, all that kind of stuff, I can't make any of that stuff out. I'm just too blind to make out anything moving.
You should hit up Mr. Beast.
Does he do something like that too?
Yeah, he
Mr.
got
Beast was going around curing people from blindness. He was like paying for their surgeries.
Yeah, and so naturally the left hates it because, you know, if you demonstrate that you have money in public, that's a no-no. Or if you ask people to take part in a video so that you can make money to spend money on the next video, you know, that's no too.
That's what I don't get about that, because he's not pocketing that money.
No, he's putting it towards his next project. That's
he
how
flips
it's working.
Yeah, he flips it in his next project.
I think I said this on Pat's stream too, because, you know, it's cropped up a couple times. But what I see him doing, I've never seen big donators really do outside of Christians. And I'm not talking about the big Christians that I question on whether or not they're even Christian, because I think they're grifters. I'm talking about the people on the streets who pretty much give out what they can. Now, does that mean that he doesn't probably fly in good seats if he doesn't put himself up in decent hotels or take security with him? Yeah. But everything else he's putting towards his donations. So I think as far as what he's doing is more sincere than I've ever seen anybody else do.
By the way,
more personable.
That VTuber I couldn't think of the name of, her name is Nyanners.
Okay.
Nyanners is her name. So if you get a chance, go out on YouTube and play it. You'll laugh your ass off. It's hysterical. Her trying to, because she's like, her character that she plays is like a young adult, like she's 18 or 19 years old, and trying to hear someone who's still that young trying to talk to a seal. It's just hilarious. You get a chance to fire YouTube, go out and do a search on Nyanners and talks to seals or something along that lines, and you'll come up with the video. And it's just, I mean, I'm giggling to the point where I'm like, all right, I have to stop this and walk away for a couple of seconds because my jaw starts to hurt. That kind of funny.
See, if I was going to talk to a seal, I'd be quoting "Kiss from a Rose."
Okay.
Just because I mean, obviously the seal's not going to understand, but I would, and I'd find it funny. So that's all it takes.
But to get back to the discussion about the border, you guys, do either of you know anybody who's Mexican that might know?
No,
that's the thing. Like I looked up the webpage for the Mexican passport question, and yeah, they said you should have a passport. But then I started talking to other people, you know, Americans specifically, you know, because you guys know about your own border in terms of, you know, not whether or not you want people crossing over yours. But then
I think the next 6 minutes is half Mexican. He lives in America, so he's an American that lives in America, but I think he said he was half Mexican, so maybe he'd have some information on.
Does he have family there, or maybe?
What's that?
I don't know. I wonder if he has family there or anything.
Could be.
I don't know.
It's one of those things where, like, when somebody says stuff like that to me with such a disregard to the rules, you know, and I'm not saying this guy doesn't have dual ship, because he might pull that out of his car and be like, oh, well, see, I have dual ship. And I'm like, so you were playing against different rules entirely, you know.
Well, an American passport can get you into Mexico. You don't need to have a Mexican passport to get into Mexico.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, though. Like, you should have a passport. Like, you should be notifying the authorities of who you are when you're crossing. Outside of that, like, I'm not saying shenanigans don't happen. I'm not saying that people don't cross the border, have a drink, and then come back. But at the same time, though, it has to do with when you know that people are just crossing the border, the reason I say that is it does put you in question, because it's, what are you doing? It's one thing to go across the border to have some fun, and it's another thing when you're bringing things back across the border. Because if you're doing it to Mexico, then why the hell would they give a shit if they're doing it to you? You know, like I mean that, like there's a reason why I'm a little bit against the way, you know, people cross the border into the US. And it's because it's human trafficking, it's drug trafficking, it's crime trafficking. It brings in it brings in more guns that you guys aren't aware of. Like, you guys have awareness of your own guns. You don't need more that you don't know about. You know, it's like London has guns. It's a joke. There's no guns in England, but there's guns in London. Like, it's one of those things where, like, I'm not anti-gun. I understand why we have rules in place for a reason, and it's supposed to limit harm to people. You know, like, I limit harm to the Americans that I consider to be friends, including the ones who might be Mexicans from Mexico. I'd also like to do the same for Mexico, and that's why I was grilling this guy. You know, because I wanted him to speak out loud in front of Twitter how hypocritical he was. You know, like, it's a two-way street.
I did read a very funny comment thread on YouTube. I forget which video it was, but they were talking about guns, and he's like saying that he was telling his friend about, you know, guns, and like the guy was saying, well, in England they banned guns, and it's like they did, then yeah, but they'll just use a knife. And he goes, well, did they see an increase in knife crime in London? It's like, yes. But the guy was like, wouldn't believe that knife crime increased in London after they banned guns. It's just like, he just wouldn't believe it.
It's just, yeah, there's reasons why we do certain things. I also happen to like certain people in Mexico too. Here's the thing. I think Mexico could be a better place too. Well, have they been? No, I don't know. I mean, you know, cheer for them in the future, but just saying. Hi, Czech.
I've only seen Tijuana. That's the only part of Mexico I've seen. And if the whole country is like that, which, like, I know it's not, I would never go there ever again. But I'm sure there's nice parts of Mexico. I've been told, but Tijuana is not one of them.
Do you know what the most powerful passport is? Who holds the most powerful passport?
I'm going to say me.
I mean, what country?
I'm going to go with the Philippines just because I know it's wrong.
Dan, what's your guess?
I don't know. I'm going to go with I don't know.
Okay. So you have no guess at all?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not the United States. It is Japan.
Okay.
There you go.
Japan can get you in 186 countries. The United States can get you into 173. We're number 7. I didn't check Canada or Australia, but being Western countries, you're probably up in the under 10. So, yeah, I thought, you know, just coming to mind, I thought, oh, of course the United States, of course us, because I'm an American and we're the best at everything, right? No.
Yeah.
No. Japan is number 1. We're all the way down at number 7. So.
Right. I'm going to guess that Ghana is number 2 then.
Belgium and Switzerland. I saw those two in the under 10 category. Quickly looking at them, but if you really feel strongly, you can go ahead and Google it yourself. But I was just surprised because I'm an arrogant American and I thought we would be number 1, but we're not.
Somalia's got to be up there as well.
Did I say something racist?
Not that I saw, but you
darn.
probably said something bad about Mexico when we were talking about that.
Okay. I don't know. Czech's calling me a racist. That's okay.
It's probably because you're making the assertion that somebody has to be Mexican to know about the Mexican border.
I have to.
But I didn't want to be that picky. And I only know that because I live in Canada. We're trained to be super sensitive about everything, even though our prime minister is
I'm sure Czech will explain what you did that was racist.
Yeah. I've been called worse. So. I don't care.
I mean, racist is a compliment in 2023.
Yeah,
so,
apparently. At least to people on the right. Addie and
well,
Czech.
there you go. Czech might know. He's been to Mexico. Yeah, there we go. So check, right? I'm arguing with this guy on the Twitter, and he's trying to tell me that you don't need a passport to be in Mexico. As if Mexico never, ever checks.
A passport
I'm
to
not
get
saying
across
that,
the border. Yeah.
Yeah. To like stay for a certain amount of time, you know?
I'm sure it depends what country you're coming from. Like, if I wanted to go to Mexico, I would 100% need a passport. But if you're coming
a boat.
from, or a plane,
In a plane.
but if you're coming from, like, because with Australia and New Zealand, we don't need a passport to go from one country to the other, because we've got an agreement. Like, our governments have agreed that the travel is open between those two nations.
So I know you're thinking from South America. That's actually not true. Mexico does tend to shift them through quicker up to the US. Like at least in terms of the trends the last couple times, they don't really like them staying up in Mexico either, because they have a limit on how much, money they have to spend on their own people too. So they do put South Americans in jail.
Because when I went to Tijuana, I'm almost certain I had to show my passport when I went from when I crossed the U.S. border into Mexico. I'm fairly certain I had to show my passport to do that. But whether that's because I'm Australian or if everyone, even Americans,
that must have got a good look. They must have looked at you like, from Australia, really?
Oh, that's yeah.
Because you got to expect everybody coming across the American-Mexican border is probably American, and you give them an Australian passport, like, dude, what are you doing?
It's when he started talking to them that they weren't sure what was going on. That's usually what I find, because they're not sure if you're playing it as an act or if you're really who you are.
I remember being amused. The first time I went to the casino was on my 18th birthday, and because you've got to show proof of age, the guy actually wished me a happy birthday when I showed him my.
Wow.
I can't remember what would have been my passport. Was the only ID I had at the time. But he saw my birthday and he goes, "Oh, happy birthday," and then he let me.
By the way, Rumble is back up.
Oh, nice. And Frosted says he was the 50th follower, so halfway there as he
thanks, Frosted.
as he sings in chat.
Rumble goal edit. That number I'm going to put in right now. So 0.
Let's see if it's working for me. Yeah, it's working.
Rumble was down when the show started at 9 o'clock, but 9:24 and it's back up again.
It's working for me as well, so it seems like whatever it was on Rumble's side.
Little glitch. Made some changes to the show. Nothing completely amazing, but for people watching the show, I moved the clock in the top left corner, made it bigger, so everyone can actually see that we are the most reliable start time of any Minion show. We're always on time. And if you look at the Minions of the Zoo logo in the top right corner of the screen, and you see the words "The Wednesday Show" underneath of it, every little over a minute, like a minute and 6 seconds, it'll change from the Wednesday show to Hammer live streams, and it'll go back. So now I got what? How many people are watching? Got 18 people. 18 people are now watching that top corner. It just did it. So I had some free time, so I decided, okay, I'm gonna go out and onto my video editor, DaVinci Resolve, and see if I can make a logo that was a little bit animated. I don't want to go too crazy. I don't want the whole background look like a carnival or anything like that. But I thought that was tasteful.
When you said your editor, I was thinking of a person. I was like, wait, what? You hired an editor?
Yeah, I hired an editor. I have a whole staff now. I'm Steven Crowder. I employed 23 people, and I'm worth $50 million.
Well, you deserve every penny.
Well, I don't know anybody else who uses Resolve besides me. I mean, everyone uses Adobe, or they use Vegas, or It's the only. I'm sure there's a Mac editor out there that some people are using, right? I
I
don't
like
know.
Frosted. He says in chat, say what you will about Hammer. At least he made the streams run on time.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate the inference of my Nazi background. That's
I think
really.
it was. I think wasn't that Mussolini?
Was it
Was made in
Mussolini?
Spain?
I thought it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was Hitler. It could have been.
Oh, and Frosted says he uses Resolve. So.
Oh, there we go. Another man of class. There you go.
There you go. You found your kindred spirit.
When it comes right down to it, I just can't afford anything else. I mean, you can obviously go out there and get things at a very, downloadable cost, put it that way. But I try to avoid that at every possibility, and Resolve is free. And the great thing about it is it's very supported. If you have a question about anything that you want to do, just go out to Google and say Resolve and ask your question, and you will get 10 videos. It won't even be text. There'll be videos to walk you right through it. This is exactly how you do it. Click here, click here, click here. Nice and slow and easy to understand. And that's awesome. I used to run into problems when I dabbled for a short period of time in Sony Vegas. Well, it's now Blackmagic Vegas. It used to be Sony Vegas.
Okay.
And it just crashes too much, and it hogs resources. It's terrible. Its preview screen is disgustingly bad. It's just, I just couldn't handle it anymore. So I started looking for options. I was like, Photoshop, or not Photoshop. What's the Adobe product name for their editor? Photoshop's for pictures.
Acrobat is the PDF reader.
That's the PDF reader. Because they have to have a different name for every product.
Yeah.
They can't, but not Photoshop. It's Premiere. Adobe Premiere is their editor, but it's like $295, and you pay monthly. No, yearly.
Oh,
you pay. Yeah, it's a subscription plan. You pay yearly. It's like $295. I was like, fuck no. There's no way I'm paying that kind of money. That's ridiculous.
That is why I stopped using Windows Office on my personal computer. Is just like, if it was just pay X dollars and you own it, fine. But paying like regularly, like subscribing to a service, fuck that. I just got Open Office instead, and it practically the same thing.
Yeah, what do I use? Libra? I think I use Libra. Let me see. Yeah, I use Libra.
I don't remember where I heard about Open Office, but someone was saying it's free, and
I think
that's a good price. And so I downloaded Open Office, and it
does
everything I needed to.
Yeah, there's 3 good Office alternatives. There's Star Office, but I haven't heard about them for a while. I'm not sure if they're still around. There's Open Office and there's LibreOffice. Those are the 3.
Okay.
And if you're on Linux, often LibreOffice is included in the install for most, not all, but most different flavors of Linux. So I was like, all right, well, I've used LibreOffice on Linux before. I'll just use it on my Windows machine because I'm used to it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's where that went. Saw a thing in chat. Who was
Frosted
it?
mentions Google Docs, and Google Docs has one massive flaw that I absolutely
online.
can't stand. Well, not only is it online, but you can't put the files in the order you want. It just says the most recent one is like they're in order of how recently you've used them.
Mm-hmm.
And like, no, just let me put things in the order I want. Like they won't let me do that. Fuck them. I'm not going to use them then.
It seems weird, but Microsoft is kind of like flaky with that kind of stuff because I use Hotmail, and trying to get things to be in the right places for Hotmail is a struggle. And I noticed that Windows 11, the default is to group by date files that you have on your machine. You have to go in and turn group off, so it goes back to the way it used to be under Windows 10. They keep wanting to fuck around with the way things are organized to have you adapt to their way of doing things.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I want it done my way, So it seems like Microsoft keeps doing that kind of crap. But Check Your Logic had a question. I scrolled back. It says, speaking of Steven, I don't know what's up. Why is there so much drama between him and the Daily Wire? Do you guys want to get into this for a few moments?
I mean, we
Sure,
covered it last
sure.
week, didn't we?
We did, but Czech wasn't able to make it
Um,
last week.
We
No,
could
I
do
know.
it
I'm
quick.
just saying that not
We
much
could do
has
it in a
changed
minute.
since last week.
Let's show off to Jeremy that you can do a discussion in like less than a minute. So Steven Crowder is French, right? Which means he's over dramatizing some things. The Daily Wire, we're pitching a contract to him. It is a shitty contract. They're all dramatizing this whole thing because they're trying to, you know, take sides with their fan viewers instead of doing the professional things and dealing with it, you know, behind the scenes like you're supposed to. So I would just ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a contract dispute that Stephen Crowder tried to spin into a publicity stunt to get more people onto his new project whenever that launches. It's not really anything that exciting. Is Daily Wire offered him a contract that heavily favored the Daily Wire because it was a starting point.
It wasn't
you
even a
know,
contract. It was just a term sheet.
right, but it was like it would have become a contract after negotiations is the point. And rather than negotiate, Stephen was just like, I'm going to record my friend,
Yeah, he threw a hissy
use
fit.
him as a like a step stool to launch my what is it, Stop Big Con website. So yeah, I don't think Daily Wire did anything wrong. Uh, Everything on that term sheet was up for discussion if Stephen Crowder had been willing to discuss it, but you know, he wasn't. So
Well, we'll see if that benefits him or not. I don't think it's going to help because you're burning bridges. Besides the fact that you're dealing with the Daily Wire, other people are watching you. So if they see you do that to the Daily Wire, who were supposedly your friends, who's going to trust you now?
yeah, I mean, if I was a prospective business partner, I would see what he did to Jeremy Boring and go, you know what? I don't trust you. I'm not going to do business with you.
Yeah.
To be fair, I haven't listen. I still like Crowder. Do I like him for this? No, I think he let his French out. I stand by that. But the thing is I see more people from America showing support to the Canadians on our side of things than he does. And I don't understand that from him at all. Because where Canada is going right now, even Tucker Carlson is calling it out. Like Canada is going so communist right now, and people are just blinking an eye at it. You know, and I hope that next week I have good news because I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, the Emergency Act shit is coming out next week. We get to find out what that means. And the only good news that we have is that, well, you know, at least Trudeau doesn't get to hear about the news first. You know, they're going to announce it to the public, so he gets to hear it at the same time. And I'm like, that's so sketchy. Even the fact that you were discussing that in the first place is sketchy. So I think they're going to try to play the, oh, well, we're going to go the middle ground and, you know, he shouldn't have done it, but, you know, we're not going to do anything to him for it.
Oh, Cryptic's in chat. And Skep
Hi,
Tock
Cryptic.
is in chat. Holy shit. How you doing, Skep?
And Skep Tock.
Been a long time. Crowder has offended his own market. That's a good point. That'll make it tough for him. Also, I have no idea what that's French shit. Ben, can you read that for me?
Not really. Peut-être généraliser sur le français que ne sont pas justifiés. Well, he is. He is. I'm sorry. He does take from the side of French.
Can you translate for me so I know what you just said?
I have no idea what I just said.
Okay.
I think he's just saying that I'm making a generalization about him being French. But no, he does take from the side of French where he'll cut off his own nose to spite his enemy.
So the what Skep said translates to, I think you're making generalizations about the French that are not justified.
Well, he is.
Jen is allowed to.
He is a little bit. But here's the thing, though. I've met better French people than him. So there's that, too.
I don't know. I just think I think it was just bad form when it comes to what Crowder did.
Yeah.
I just think it was just bad form. So anybody who's going to have potentially deal with him in the future, even guests who could come on the show, have got to say, yeah, I don't know if that guy kind of fucked people over, and I don't want to be one of the people he fucks over. So maybe I'll just, stay
The
away.
thing with me, I've never liked Crowder, like not as a person until recently, but just like I never thought he was funny. So like I have no stake in Stephen Crowder's continued like success. I don't care if he's popular. I don't care if he loses his audience. He's like not on my radar because I never really liked his show. So it's like I don't care. Like, if he wants to burn bridges and sink his own career, let him.
My impression of Crowder was, there are people on the right hand side of the planet that have a specific way they approach the problems between the left and the right. Shapiro is very cut and dry. I believe in this, I believe in that, and I believe in this, and this is why, and that's it. Then you have Jordan Peterson who will intellectualize it. I believe in this because the statistics show, because that's the way things are. And then you have Rogan who will say, from my experience and from what I've seen from other people who tell me this stuff, this is the way I see it right now. But Crowder doesn't take any of those kind of things. He kind of stays out of that confrontational kind of deal when it comes to straight up subjects, maybe with the exception of guns. But I never really see him do live venues on subjects that are controversial. But he has been on panels where there have been controversial subjects made, and he is good if pushed into a corner at defending himself. I think that's cool.
I think change my mind is, I mean, okay, it's
that's what I was going to get to. Yeah.
College students, not like intellectual equals, but no, he's all about confronting people on controversial issues. It's just that he goes for easy wins.
Well, there's a question there about why he's going after college students. And people will say, because it's easier to win against a college student. It's easier to win it with somebody who's actively learning this stuff right now. It's fresh in their mind, and they're learning stuff right away. So they may actually be more of an equal than they're wrong, and he could prove them wrong. But I think they're immersed in Marxist indoctrination at that time. So if anybody is going to know or have the ability to know Marxist philosophy, they're getting it right then and there.
Right.
But I think a large part of what he's doing isn't just to get the win against college students. I think a lot of what he's trying to do is trying to get college students to not look at it only in the Marxist light. If he can get to them while they're young, because that's what the Marxists want to do. I think Crowder's saying, well, if you're going to get to them young, I'm going to get to them young. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to give these people, this is the Constitution. These are your rights. This is look at it from this perspective to try to literally change their mind.
I think the problem with that, though, is young for the left means like 5, not 20.
You can't really teach a 5-year-old Marxist stuff, but
no. But my point is, like, they indoctrinate the kids as soon as they enter school. So you turning up at university when they've had over a decade of this stuff drilled into them, they're not going to change their mind. They've already been corrupted.
I hate to break it to you, Hammer, but they technically are already teaching them communist type thinking. And I'm not meaning to go after the trans community yet again, but it does have to come from that. Because the way that they're designing it is that there is no real people. You could be anything you want. It's imagination land. Yeah. So by taking away people, you're destroying more of not just the family dynamic, but also your social dynamic. you know, which makes you a gray person. That makes you more malleable as an NPC player in the future.
Right.
Because now you're just a number. You are just a color category.
Yeah.
And a number.
Yeah, they do start young. There's no doubt about that. Whenever you get into oppress and oppressor, that can start very early. And that is Marxist doctrine right there. It's the bourgeoisie and proletariat of the Marxist doctrine. So that can start real early. It's whether it be race, black versus white, classist, rich versus poor, whatever two sides you want to make enemies and have them fight each other. That's what Marxism is all about. I get that. But you can give kids at a young age those ideals without teaching them about the ideals. You can force that indoctrination on them without explaining to them what it is. They're coming to take Terry away.
Yeah.
But until you get to somebody who's at least college level, can you understand? Oh, that's what this is about. You can look at it objectively and say, this is this and this is that. You need to get to about college level before you can do that. And that's the only time you can really counter it, because if you try to counter it when they're young, it's almost impossible to do that.
I mean, maybe I'm just cynical, but I think Crowder is purely doing it because he knows it'll make him look good and get him clicks on the internet. Like, I don't think he's really hoping to change anyone's... I mean, he might want to, but I don't think the primary goal is, in fact, to change anyone's mind. It's, haha, look at me, outsmart everyone. I can I can talk circles around these college students. Ha ha ha.
I don't know if it's ego or not. I think it's hard to say if it's ego or not. Maybe I think the most important thing is that he gets a leftist on screen getting screwed. I think that's more than anything. I don't think so much ego is more like, look at that idiot.
I also think that was part of what he was going for to begin with, because it's not just that it's leftist ideals. It's leftist ideals that they can't even back up with, because the educational system all around, even up to the college, is questionable, because some of these kids are smart. Just because they lean left doesn't mean they're stupid. It's just you're really questioning what they're learning. You know, like I've never gone to college, so my expectations from college is not what I'm seeing from them. You know, like I get that you're going for, like, you know, specific careers and things like that, but you know, some of these kids look like they don't know anything about what they're talking about from any angle, you know, and it's a lot easier to teach kids what you want them to think, when they don't know anything at all.
Right.
Like, and that's really... I remember watching TV shows like the one with Jeff Foxworthy, where it was like, are you smarter than an 8th grader? And I'm like, no, your kids are no longer like that. I don't think your your grade 4 or grade 8 kids are as smart as they used to be, because I don't know, like,
True.
And I'm not saying that as somebody who thinks they're smarter. I'm saying this as somebody who, like, yeah, I expect kids who know what they're talking about to get into college at least.
But no, I mean, over here, I think it was called "Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader?" So it's like,
Yeah,
even dumber, even lower standard than 8th.
so you get what I'm saying, like, you know, like, so I remember that show. Like, some of those kids were smart, or, you know, like, they were book smart.
They're learning it
at the moment.
They're learning it at the moment. Exactly.
So it's just, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that even now I feel like I've forgotten. You know, and I get that. That's age. You know, you're not going to remember everything. But
I can't do any of the advanced math that I used to know when I was in high school and in college and stuff like that, like trig and all that kind of stuff. I've forgotten almost everything. But I mean, that was 40 years ago. That's a long time to try to remember, you know, because that was where I was going. My entire career was going to be in computers and math and stuff like that. So I went all the way up to, you know, celestial mechanics. I took celestial mechanics in college, second year. So, I mean, I barely could tell you how the planets revolve around the sun anymore. I have no idea. Totally forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't use it in your day-to-day life, it tends to just fall out of your memory.
Yeah. I can still add and subtract though. I've managed to hang on to that much. Yeah, but I don't know. So, maybe you and Skep and some of the other people in chat are right. Maybe this is all about his ego. I don't know, but I think the thing I find most entertaining about Change My Mind is not the fact that he owns them. That is obviously something that could be, a focus for him. But what I find entertaining about that is the left trying to justify their side of the argument. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. That's bullshit. There's no way that you can possibly say that, capitalism does this, or, that's not capitalism. That's corporatism, a whole different thing, and they just don't understand that. They don't know the difference, but they don't know the nuance. There is the word we're looking for, of all the things that come together to make the states what they are. And I shouldn't even say the states. I should say the West, because a lot of these things go in every country, not just the states.
True.
Considering they're really buying into the capitalism that they say that they hate, I'm questioning a lot of that. They're not the same liberals as the ones from like 10 to 12 years ago, even. Like even that amount of time has made a stark difference. Because I remember when the liberals were anti so much into the medical, because it was so expensive, or like, that drug pharma is, you do feel a little bit like a lab rat half the time between your food, your vitamins, and the stuff that they recommend you up and off. Like you feel like a little bit like a lab rat half the time, so I don't know. They seem to buy into a lot of the same crap that they say that they fight against, Yeah. It's like even environmentalists up here who are like, oh, it's global warming. And I'm like, okay, no, I don't doubt that there's global warming, because there is. It's been going on for thousands of years. Skep Tock probably knows it far more in depth than I do. But
is that an ageist joke?
No.
he was around when the world was still cooling off.
No, but I know that like he does like more reading into charts and shit like that. Like he could
That's
probably
true.
explain it a lot more elegantly than me. But the fact of the matter is, like, for things that I would like to work on in terms of like meeting them halfway, they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about raising my taxes. And I'm like, no, I don't want you to raise my taxes, because you know what you're doing? You're funneling more money as blank checks for people to go spend their money on booze and other things, because we have mental health problems. Like instead of focusing on things that would actually help us getting geared towards doing some things that would meet us halfway. No, it's not. They're not doing shit. We're just burying ourselves in heavier taxes so we can feel like we're important to the world. It's dumb. So I wouldn't mind doing things like cleaning up the plastic, like I do acknowledge that shit's kind of not good. But if I say that to them, they're going to be like, "Oh, well, you should go green." No, I mean clean up shit. Don't force people to spend money paying for your stupid cars that still digs holes into the world. It doesn't solve anything.
Yeah. I just spent a lot of time over the last couple of days looking at nuclear. There's a YouTuber. Geez, I can't remember her name now because I'm brain dead. But she explains things in science. Her banner says "science without all the gobbledygook." She explains stuff very straightforward, and I've always been a very much a big proponent of nuclear. But she educated me on a lot of things about nuclear that I didn't know. Really, what she ended up doing was supporting my position that if you're an environmentalist, you must include nuclear. You don't really have a choice, because nothing else is as good as nuclear. but current nuclear is bad. And I've always said that I think thorium is the answer. And she basically said, yes, that's really what you're talking about here. Says thorium is not perfect either, but of all of the only problem with nuclear is until you get to thorium, it's not renewable. Thorium actually is renewable. Spent thorium fuel can be reused if conditioned. Again, it is renewable. So, yeah, if you're into any of this kind of, any questions about green energy and you know, Tesla and all the things that you look at Tesla making these cars that are supposedly fuel efficient, but then you look at how the batteries are made, and you know, you have to understand that these batteries require cobalt. And how do you get cobalt? Well, there's only, you know, 0.2% on the planet, and we're starting to run out already. You know, so you start, well, we have to change battery structures. Yeah, but when you change battery structures, the carbon footprint goes up. You know, so you start looking at all these, here's the word again, all these nuances that are involved in how all these green options exist. They're not so green. When it comes right down to it, if you want to put up a windmill, you have to drive fuel cars and trucks to drive all that stuff out. And you have to use backhoes, which use fuel, you know, to dig the holes and all that kind of stuff. So by the time you got done putting up this, you know, 30-foot tall windmill, you've already made a huge carbon footprint just getting that windmill in place, you know, and then it spins and kills all the eagles. Well, that's not smart either, you know.
And then they can't do anything with it once it's gone. And that's the other thing too. We are kind of species where we always try to create things that we can find a way to recycle or reuse somehow. The fact that we can't, and it just piles up right away, that's the first sign that something wasn't right.
Then after 10 years, you knock the windmill down because the engine can only last 10 years. The motor inside can only last 10 years. Then you have to use trucks to haul it away. And half of the stuff inside is not recyclable. I mean, if you look at the total picture of a lot of these options that are quote unquote green, they're not so green. The only thing I see that's really green amongst everything is thorium liquid salt reactors, molten salt. That seems to be the only thing that I've seen so far. There's so much fucking there's 3% of the Earth's crust is uranium. 3%. 92% of the crust has thorium. Plenty of fuel to last us, you know, the next million years.
It's like being a little bit more conservative with how we use our paper. You know, like I don't mind using things like bamboo to replace basic paper. Maybe not toilet paper.
Not toilet paper. So did I.
I tried that shit, and
man.
you know, the first roll was okay, but the second roll, I'm like, oh my god, this is burning.
Yeah. Worse for girls. Trust me on that.
You know, I'm not saying that down the in the future that they're not going to figure it out. They will. We're humans. We're intelligent that way. But for now, paper products that you write on, or pencils, or things like even cutlery, I don't have a problem with like reusable cutlery that's made with bamboo, you know, because the stuff biodegrades. It makes sense to me to use something that you can grow within a season to create a whole, for things that you're just going to replace all the time. I have no problems with using that, because that means you can save your wood for other things like the odd house or leaving it in nature. You know, it's mating them in some places, but then they don't want to talk to you in others. And you understand that that's kind of the problem. You know, they don't really care about human habitat. And that's where I have a problem. I have all the wants about protecting habitat outside of where humans are, because I like animals too. I don't want to live in a world where there's no more elephants. I don't want to live in a world where there's no more rhinos. I don't want to live in the world where there's no more whatevers. You know, but I also don't want to live in a world where we're constantly fucking over everybody else who's human.
Yeah. Skep Tock says Idaho and Montana have buttloads of thorium. Yeah. I 100% believe you. I know that thorium is everywhere. I can't imagine a state that doesn't have it. But yeah, Idaho and Montana are two of the leaders. I certainly believe it. it really is the answer. If you get a chance to look into thorium molten salt reactors, especially smaller reactors, because you can build smaller reactors faster, and molten salt takes up a lot less room than a traditional reactor. And you can, instead of having a huge reactor that has terawatts of power, you put a lot of these smaller ones and you bury them underground in vaults so they can't be attacked by terrorists, that kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And you make one that's going to cover like Philadelphia, or 2 or 3 that cover Philadelphia, instead of having one that covers Pennsylvania. You know, you have 2 or 3 smaller ones that take care of, and one in Pittsburgh, you know, and that kind of deal is a much better solution. And, you know, it bothers me enough. I'm actually going to fire up my browser and see if I can get the name of that channel that was talking about it. We didn't get to any of our topics tonight. Sometimes it just goes that way.
That's okay. I think people know what to expect by now.
Well,
Look, I'm following so many people, I can't track down one channel anymore.
It's always one of those things, Hammer, where I always kind of laugh at that one, because it's like when you talk gas lines with people who are super green, and I never really want to tell them about the numbers, you know, because I think they really think there's like maybe 5 pipelines across North America, and I'm like, no.
Hammer, you'll have to look up that person later. Jack's in chat, so we've got to end the stream.
Oh yeah, well it's almost 10 o'clock. We'll give it a couple more minutes, but we'll be out of here pretty soon. I cannot find any of that. I thought I was following her, but apparently I'm not following her. I just happen to run across her videos a lot. Let me just go to home and see if she pops up, because if I'm watching enough of her videos, it should show up in my home tab. Matt Blonde, blah, 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 blah. Oh, there she is. Sabine Hassenfelder. That's the name of the channel. Yeah, obviously German, Sabine. Sabine Hassenfelder. And she's maybe 35, 40-ish.
Okay.
Obviously German. You can hear it in her voice when she's talking to you. There's no doubt that she's German.
Right.
Even the way she says certain words are just obviously she's in Germany kind of deal. It's not just, you know, a German living in America. This is a German person speaking English. In any case, the last one I have is from this week. It's like her topics. She does a science news once a week, and the topic is the 3 topics that she follows. Like we usually have a 3-topic show. She does a 3-topic show as well every week. What's with the Earth?
Does she actually get to her topics?
We never seem to get to ours. What's with the Earth's core? Fukushima wastewater and NASA's nuclear rocket is her 3 topics. And she's one of those people, very, very German anyway, besides being, you know, in Germany and being a German person, but her sense of humor, she's actually funny in a way that female comedians are not funny. She's funny because she'll talk about something and she'll deadpan something funny in and then keep right on going. And you have to stop the video, finish laughing, and then start it again because what she said is so funny. She'll just go off on something completely completely off topic. She'll be saying like, the problem with this is that, you know, a lot of people who are talking about science will make the topic seem droll, and you'll have about as much interest or much retention as your typical TikTok viewer. And then she'll go right back into talking about what she was talking about. So that little sidebar into how people who watch TikTok videos can't retain anything because everything is just, you know, sent 10 seconds before the next TikTok. Right. If you watch her say it, it's hilarious because she's so deadpan, like it was scripted for her to say it that way. You know, it's just amazing. But yeah, Sabine Hassenfelder. Does that remind me of Laverne and Shirley? There's something there with that. I don't have to figure that out. Anyway, so you said Jack's here. I didn't see him. Is he in chat?
He is.
Oh, yep, there he is.
And Costin asked me to remind you to shill for our Rumble channel again. Hey, Skep Talk, just so you know, we got up to 50. We're up to 50 on Rumble.
Yeah, I actually put it in the screen so people could see that we're actually 50. We're halfway there, folks. I want to thank everybody for jumping out on Rumble and giving us a follow. We are at the halfway point. Things will be all downhill from here, right? Right? No, not at all.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. But I appreciate everybody's support for getting the Rumble channel up, because there's a good chance that's going to end up being our backup, because MotZ, I think MotZ is kind of not what we wanted it to be. So
it's 51.
Nice.
You're just trying to screw us over? Who followed?
I don't know. It's just
Is it 51? Well,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
going to
51.
stop the show right now, and I'm going to go edit it and put 51 in, because I think it's appropriate. Humble goal 51. Yes, I can change the number right on the stream right as we're doing stuff. OBS is awesome.
It says 51.
Yep. Humble goal 51. I got rid of out of 100. Maybe I'll put that in later. I don't know.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, 10:02 and 42 seconds according to the screen. So it's probably time to get out of here. Go ahead and finish the
Alrighty.
show, just in honor of Jack being here a little early. Thanks to everybody, as always, for chatting with us tonight. Remember, we're trying to get our Rumble channel up and running. So if you have an account on Rumble, go ahead and give us a follow. Eventually, we'll live stream there as well, and you'll be helping Minions grow. As for YouTube, if you can't wait for the next Wednesday show, remember, the Minions are live every evening, including weekends, with most shows starting around 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Post and start times are listed in the description, along with our Rumble channel down below. We will be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. And gals.
No, not good.